There are three things that I can say with absolute certainty right now. Number one, not a Nintendo YouTuber. Number two, the New York Knicks have advanced to the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. And of course, number three, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is probably my most anticipated game of 2023, and it very well might be yours too. It looks absolutely incredible. It's been a very interesting journey that we've had with this game, going from the whole is this $70 DLC notion to something that definitely looks a lot more advanced than the original Breath of the Wild game was. New mechanics, new areas, new enemies. We've gotten new gameplay trailers for the game. We've of course gotten new trailers for the game alongside of that, commercials, this, that, and the other. Nintendo themselves being very strict about what you can and can't talk about with it. It's been a fun ride so far, but the ride isn't necessarily over yet. And I'm very surprised that all of these quote-unquote Nintendo and Legend of Zelda YouTubers are not talking about this next situation, because Nintendo has made a huge change to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Didn't say anything about it. It had to be discovered. I actually saw this via a Reddit post over on the Tears of the Kingdom Reddit page, and still nobody's talking about this. And this really bothers me, because I feel like A, this is actually substantial information, that there's a lot of stuff to discuss with it, and two, this kind of destroys one of my theories that I had with this game and really brings me back to square zero as far as understanding one of the decisions that Nintendo made with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So what the hell am I talking about? That's what we're going to find out in this video. Hello, if this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button if you agree that I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber. And if you think I am, hit that subscribe button too. We're on the road to 500,000 subscribers. So we're over here on the internet Wayback Machine. This is not the live version of the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom website. This is from March 30th of 2023. And you're saying to yourself, RGT, why the hell are you doing? What are you doing here? Why are you on an old version of the website? Well, I'm going to scroll down here and show you guys why. So this was after we got all the Tears of the Kingdom information, the release date, the trailers, this, that, the other. We learned about all this stuff, you know, direct presentations. This is after all of that. Keep that in mind. So we're scrolling down here. We're scrolling down. Now it's Hyrule, Sprawling Lands. We've got the Switch OLED already on there too, so we are well beyond any sort of announcement phase. This is when the game is done. Okay, this game is ready to go. It's ready to ship out, and we're just sitting here waiting for the release date to come, sort of situation, all right? We're talking about less than a month ago, mind you. Scrolling on down here, we could see that this game is 18.2 gigabytes. Now, this was the file size that we had all been saying was the file size for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I said to myself, and I said on videos, and I said to other people, well, now the $70 thing makes sense. Nintendo is having to use a 32 gigabyte cartridge, not a 16 gigabyte cartridge. Nintendo themselves doesn't want to have to subsidize the additional costs of that larger cart size, because each cart has a different size to it. You know, we have 4 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes, 16 gigabytes, 32 gigabytes. The higher you go up in size, the more expensive the cards get. It's just what the situation is with this. We've seen things like The Witcher have the 32 gigs and they still came out at a physical edition, and people said, well, why could The Witcher do it? That's a bit of an older game, you know. This isn't, you know, this is the big Zelda game, and you know, people were theorizing all sorts of stuff about it, but I said that it was the cartridge size that's leading to the $70 price point. And at first I was mocked and I was ridiculed, but now, as time has gone on, that's kind of become the commonplace mentality. Well, yeah, this is requiring a 32 gigabyte cartridge, so Nintendo of America is going to use a 32 gigabyte cartridge and want to charge you more money. I should say Nintendo of Japan, all Nintendo companies. But why did I show you the old version of this website? Why did I show you a version from less than a month ago, but roughly almost a month ago? Because if you go on the Nintendo eShop right now, on your Nintendo Switch, you'll see something shocking. Now the game is listed at 15.9 gigabytes, meaning that it would fit on a 16 gigabyte cartridge. What the hell is going on here? What is this? How is nobody talking about this? This is the biggest change that we've seen with this thing so far, and everyone is just like, oh, business as usual. We're just gonna walk around. We're not gonna talk about this. This is massive. Okay, because we're talking about a size drop of over 2 gigabytes. Now, Nintendo game, if this was any other company, who cares? You know, Nintendo games are very highly compressed. When you look at the file sizes of first-party Nintendo games, they're always ridiculous fractions of what the other file sizes are for AAA games on other platforms. You know, stuff like, I think like Redfall is like 77 gigabytes or something like that. The new Star Wars game is like 150 gigabytes. And then you have Nintendo games coming in at 16 gigabytes or under. But it seemed like Tears of the Kingdom was going to be the anomaly with that, because this was the biggest game that Nintendo had ever made. It's the biggest game that they've ever encountered. It's the biggest production budget that they've ever had, and they're going to need a larger cartridge size. And that was how I, you know, justified the $70 price point. And I theorized, you know, is that going to be something going forward? Because a game like Pikmin 4, that's not going to be $70. Does that mean it's indicative of the quality of Pikmin 4? Or is it because of the fact that they're going to be able to use a smaller file size and a different cartridge medium for that? But what the hell happened that you shaved off 2 gigs in less than a month? Because you knew what the size of the game was way back in March. We're talking about less than a month ago. You knew what the game was going to be, 18.2 gigs. But now all of a sudden it's 15.9 gigs. So beyond just, you know, putting it on a smaller cartridge now, because that's going to fit on a 16 gigabyte cartridge, thus sort of negating the whole need for a 32 gigabyte cartridge, thus sort of negating the need to be charging me $70, I'll let it slide. I will let that slide. But what happened to those other 2 gigabytes? I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that Nintendo cut content from the game, saved it for DLC, anything like that. I guess in theory, they could have compressed the game more. However, I don't buy that, because some people said, oh, well, that was a placeholder size. You know, the 18.2 gigabytes was a placeholder. And I have to say, bullshit. Things would not change in less than a month for the file size of this game. When a file size goes up for the game, that's the file size. This is the only time that we've seen a first-party Nintendo Switch game from Nintendo themselves have a substantial change in the file size up to the release of it. Nintendo knew exactly how big this game was, because in all of the presentations that they've done in 2023, the game has been done. The game has been done. If you understand anything about game development cycles, you would know that Nintendo has been done with this game for a little bit of time, at least over a month. Okay, at least over a month from the time of the filming of this video. So how did they magically shave off over 2 gigabytes into compression on this game if they didn't eliminate something, if they didn't remove something from the game? I'm not saying that they did that. I'm not saying that they did this to shrink down the file size so they don't have to use the 32 gigabyte cartridge, but I don't think anyone can tell me why the file size changed. I don't think anyone can sit there and tell me why definitively this game is now less than a 16 gigabyte download, meaning that it's less than a game would require to be on a 16 gigabyte cartridge. And that's what kind of bothers me about this. Because something changed. Nintendo changed something. Did they bait and switch people and try to say, oh, well, you know, we could fool people. And I don't even think Nintendo's this smart, but maybe they are. You know, we could fool people into, you know, being okay with the $70 if they think that the game is going to use a larger cartridge size. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of people that you're going to with that, because most of the people that see the game at $70 are just confused as to why, and they'll judge it on the quality of the title itself. But for people that are well informed about things, they're going to be looking at things like file sizes in order to justify this price change, this price differentiating thing. And I don't get it. I don't get why they changed the file size of the game. And that really leads me to believe that something got removed. They lied about the file size the whole time, and it was always going to be less than 16 gigabytes. Because, I mean, boot up your Nintendo Switch, go to the eShop, and go ahead and look at the file size listing for it. It is 15.9 gigabytes. That was done in real time, that little footage that I showed you there. And I'm very confused by it. And I'm very confused about why there aren't more people talking about this. And maybe this will kind of spark it, you know, and then people will be like, oh, I can't believe all these people are making videos about Tears of the Kingdom. Look at this jackass talking about the file size, because other people talk about the file size. That pisses me off. Just a little aside here, that pisses me off. If I talk about something and then people respond to me, or they make videos, you know, as their own sort of style, but responding to me, and then people get mad because everyone's talking about it, and they put me in the initial thing, like, oh, like the whole retro game collecting in 2023 thing. People got mad at me. It's like, bitch, I started the conversation. You can't get mad at the person starting the conversation. You can get mad at the people that were deciding to reply to me. But why would you get mad at it anyways? Just don't watch it, you jackass. Anyways, so what do you think about this? Because I think this is probably one of the biggest stories that we've had with Tears of the Kingdom. And the fact that nobody's talking about this is ridiculous. Shout outs to the Tears of the Kingdom Reddit for bringing this to my attention. I was just scrolling through you because I wanted to see people with their OLEDs to see if it would convince me to buy a Switch OLED for the Legend of Zeldas. It didn't. I'm going to keep my money because I actually just bought a new TV for over here for my setup. We'll show the setup one day. But let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.